we're losing to Islam. If you don't think we're losing to Islam, long term, the way things are going right now, you're confused. And finally, I see this conversation finally getting the spotlight it needs. And I think a large part of that, unfortunately, is through Charlie Kirk's death. Charlie Kirk was starting to get on the anti-Islam bandwagon. Now, I want to repeat what I've said in the past. If you are of the Muslim faith and that is what tickles your fancy, have at it. If you want to pray 5 times a day, you want to throw your prayer rug in the middle of the street or in the middle of the mall, and you want to do that, have at it. But in Bangladesh, in Iraq, in Syria, in Iran, in Egypt, in Algeria, do not try to force that upon me. Do not try to force that upon the United States of America. But they are. And we're allowing it to happen. I'm going to play a video here for a second. Because we just talked about newborns. This appears to be, this video, a Muslim father. For those people on audio only. Imagine a little baby just comes out. He's in the little incubator. And the father rolls up a piece of paper like a large, it looked like a large straw, like if you were to do a megaphone, you know, like trying to get it out. Puts that piece of paper, the other side of the piece of paper, to the baby's ear and starts giving it Muslim prayer, making the baby cry. Play it, Ryan.
صلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.
Now, if that's not sick, I don't know what is. I want to explain a little bit more about what I have spoke to you about in the past. And I did a video on this the other day. You know, every day on Facebook here, I have a morning video, except for on days when I have the show. There's no morning video today. And I did this the other day, and I'm going to extrapolate on it right now. I want you to understand what is happening in our cities. Let's use New York City for a great example. In fact, Ryan, you know what? Let's change the order. We had the Georgia governor. Let's do Mandami. We're going to play a video right now. I want you to listen to what the front runner for the mayor of New York City, Mandami, he's going to win. Listen to the way he positions on taxing people and the people he's going to tax. Play it.
And realize there's a policy proposal that says your plan, and I'm going to quote it for folks, is to shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer and whiter neighborhoods. Explain why you are bringing race into your tax proposal.
That is just a description of what we see right now. It's not driven by race. It's more of an assessment of what neighborhoods are being undertaxed versus overtaxed.
So no plans to change that language on your website.
The focus here is to actually ensure a fair property tax system. And that the use of that language is just an assessment of the neighborhood.
So he's going to go after the whiter neighborhoods. And then when he's called out on it, he backsteps. There's no backstepping, okay? There's no backstepping. If I say to you, well, as mayor, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to send in more police to the black neighborhoods, that's me basically telling you that I think blacks carry out the crimes. If I try to peddle that into something else, I'm going to look like I'm a liar. And this guy is a Muslim socialist liar. Let me explain how this is going to work and what the plan is, because this is very, very important for you to understand. Nobody ever talks about this. You're getting it here and here only. It goes like this. Let's look at Dearborn, Michigan. Dearborn, Michigan now has become a majority Muslim stronghold. On Monday, we played the video of the white woman who goes to the city council and says, hey, it's becoming impossible for us to sleep. It's becoming impossible for us to live. You are playing Muslim prayers on the loudspeaker 5 times a day, starting at 5:30 a.m. You're breaking the ordinance. You can't do this at 5:30 a.m. And here's the thing. What they do is they basically tell that lady, okay, well, we'll look into it. And it continues to happen. Think about this for a second. Prayer on a loudspeaker. I don't know about you. I know I pray pretty much about twice a day at minimum. Once in the morning, once before I go to bed. What I don't do is I don't go outside of my driveway, or I don't go outside my backyard and I take a megaphone and I just start doing the Our Father on that. I don't. I pray in private, or if I'm going to pray in church, we pray in church and we're in a 4-wall environment. What they're doing here is they're spraying the sound across the city. And so now people who don't practice Islam are subjected to this 5 times a day at 5:30 in the morning. So inevitably, what happens? What happens in Dearborn? People said, I've lived here for 30 years. I can't take it anymore. I'm leaving. And so what happens is they infuse everything about Muslim and Islam into the community, from the schools to the hospital to the police department to the prayers, you name it. Even the stores. Remember when I went through Dearborn, the stores didn't look like something that I would want to go in and eat at. I couldn't even read the signs. They were all in Arabic. And so eventually what happens is that you and I move out. We abandon our home. We abandon our city or our town. And therefore it becomes a Muslim stronghold. That is what is happening now on a much greater level. What Mandami is going to do is he is going to make the city so unbearable for anybody who is not Muslim that they will have no choice but to leave. I talked to you about it on Monday, on Monday's show. I told you my buddy, Jeff Nelson, ex-New York Yankee pitcher, 4 World Series rings, was thinking about running for mayor, ultimately decided not to back in January. Wish he had. Said to me, he's going to win. We're moving out of the city. My friend who lives here is one of the top realtors, just called and said, by the way, if you want to sell your home, it's going to be coming up soon. I said, why is that? People from New York City right now are calling in droves, coming here on weekends to look at properties. I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up. I just had a buddy of mine ask me, would you have a problem showing somebody around in the neighborhood? I said, yeah, I would. I don't know who the hell they are, but at the end of the day, they're coming. They're leaving. So think about what the plan is. You go after, like Mandami says, I'm going to tax the white people. I'm going to tax the white people. I'm going to treat the white people like they're slime. And so what happens is that you leave. You leave. Then what happens is the second part. The value of the real estate, be it through rental or be it through purchase, drives itself so low because there's no demand. There's a lot of supply. Big businesses are leaving. He wants to tax big businesses. Businesses in New York get taxed 7.25%. He wants to raise it to over 11%. So he's going to force out businesses. He's going to force out white people. He's going to just make it so this way the city nosedives, thus making it very affordable for the low-income Muslim or no-income Muslim who's coming in by the droves, 50 to 100,000 per year legally into the United States. And then what happens is that when everybody leaves the cities, they go for the suburbs or they go for red states, these major metropolitans become like Dearborn. That is the strategy. The strategy is take over the United States from within. And where you start, education, media, public office, and eventually what you do is you push everybody else out and then you own New York. Think about this for a second. We are about to see New York change in such a way that it reflects what you see in London. That's the strategy. And I have been following this for 20 years, and I can tell you this is the worst I've ever seen it. Their plan is starting to metastasize. We're going to play Ilhan Omar right now. We're going to skip the governor for a second, Ryan. Ilhan Omar, listen to what she says about white America. Play it.
And so the idea that this is a white nation that needs to be preserved is a fascinatingly disgusting view, because this country is one for the many.
What does that mean? What does that mean? I can tell you what it means. You have to read the words. If I say to you, as I am saying right now, I don't want more Ilhan Omars, what she does is that she spins that as you and I don't want people of color. And that's not what I'm saying. What we're saying is we don't want more migrants and immigrants from the Middle East who are going to come here and say things like we're going to tax the white people. Yeah, there was a majority. This country was majority white, and I'm not going to apologize for it, and you're not going to apologize for it, assuming you're white. And I'm very proud of being white. There's nothing wrong. At the end of the day, I'm a good human being, first and foremost. I am a good Christian, Catholic, first and foremost. If you want to say he's a good white guy, that's up to you. That's up to you. But I am not going to apologize, and I am not going to retreat because I'm white, I'm male, and I'm Christian. Just not going to do it. And at the same time I'm not going to bend over, close my eyes, and pretend as if I'm not being taken over by people from the Middle East who are practicing Islam, which is completely the opposite of Christianity. There's no similarities at all. I don't want to hear that it's got a lot of similarities and this and that. There's things that baloney. There's nothing even close. I read from the Quran or portions of the Quran on Monday about women. Don't start with me and getting out that book again. All right? You know, I have 3 dogs. We've got 3 dogs. My dog, my dog is just like my best friend. I love my dog. Islam, you can't have a dog. They're disgusting animals. They're disgusting animals. People use dogs for support. People who are blind use dogs so they can walk. People who are lonely have dogs as companions. In Islam, they're disgusting. You're going to tell me there's similarities? There's no assimilation. It's trying to put together oil and water. Now, it just so happens that the majority of people who are in the Middle East aren't white-skinned. That's not my problem. I didn't create that. If you told me that you were going to send me 100,000 white radical Islamics, I tell you, I don't want any of them. If you told me that in the middle of my street, I was going to have 15 blonde bikini Sports Illustrated models praying 5 times a day to Allah, I don't want them there. I don't want to look at them. I don't want to hear them. And they're white blondes in bikinis. This is where the point gets missed purposely. The number one way for the Islamic doctrine to find its way into this country is to convince you, to convince your neighbor, to convince the media that you are racist, that you're racist, that you don't want to accept other people, that you don't want to accept anything other than white. And that's just not true. Not true at all. It doesn't make any sense. But they know that we're always going to be on our heels apologizing and defending. One of the worst things I've hated to hear over the course of time. I used to do this early on. I don't do it anymore. Somebody comes up to you and says, Ryan says to me, Dad, you're a racist. No, I'm not. What are you talking about? I'm a racist. I was a consultant for Dr. Ben Carson. He's black. Dennis, you're a racist. I'm not a racist. What are you talking about? One of my best buddies was Latino. I'm not a racist. What are you talking about? Number one guy on my softball team I ran a softball team with was Filipino. What people do is they try to justify by saying, I have a friend, I have a relative, I have a coworker who I really like, who just so happens not to be white. Don't get into that. Don't do that. Don't fall for that trap. That's the trap that they try to give you. You just say, no, I'm not a racist. You're a racist. You're a racist for thinking that I think color. But if you're going to push color on me, it's the same thing as a fight. I don't want to fight anybody. I mean, I just want to get up in the morning. I want to do my thing, want to do my show, want to love my family, want to love my neighbors, play golf, dust the cap on my head. That's all I want to do. I don't want to fight anybody. But if you come up to me and you tell me you're going to crack me in the mouth, you're probably going to hit the ground faster than you can finish the sentence. If you force me into a fight, there is going to be a wrath upon you. Same thing happens here. If you want to push your religion, if you want to push your racist stuff onto me, I'm going to come back at you. I'm going to tell you why your religion's no good, why it's not acceptable here, and I am going to say, I love being white. I love being white. I have no problem with it. I don't see anything at all wrong with being white. I like being white, and I want to be white. And if you're black, I would assume you say, I like being black. I want to be black. You should be proud of who you are. I am not going to be apologetic. Ever. Ever. Which, I mean, I could do a whole show on something else here, and we will get to this one of these days. I think one of the hugest problems we have in the country is that blacks will get away with saying the N-word, but if the white person says it, it's the end of everything. Well, that's a double standard, and that's why there's a problem, in my opinion. But make no mistake, they're starting to understand how it is that they get the power. And the power comes when it is that you are the politicians who have the power. And so now there is a woman who is officially going to run for governor of Georgia. And here is she.
My first job out of college was at the Center for Civil and Human Rights, where I got to learn how to organize with incredible legends like the late John Lewis. Now I have the honor of representing tens of thousands of Georgians in the State House. I'm as Georgia as we come. I'm also the granddaughter of Palestinian refugees. My family lost everything and had to rebuild from nothing. My family's history and the skills taught to me by civil rights heroes made me never back down from a fight.
Yep. Eventually, you will see, and I'm not kidding, you will see Georgia, Texas, Michigan. These will be the first governors who are wearing hijabs or who are extremely 100% radical Islam. It's going to happen. It can stop from happening. We can save this country, and I have great hope that this will happen if we can just stop the spigot of taking in so many people legally into this country. That has to be the case.